So one of the single biggest questions about entrepreneurship and the teaching thereof is, can you teach entrepreneurship? Is it inbred? Are you a natural entrepreneur and that's it? Or can you take people by necessity or otherwise and make them entrepreneurs? In all the stuff that I've done, you've heard I've been working in the field of entrepreneurship education for over a decade now. I've decided that there are 5 key things that make entrepreneurs. The question is, where do they come from? And it's a combination. The first of it is, yes, there is something innate, whether you call it psychological or genetic or whatever. I think the best definition of this is from John Gartner's book, The Hypomanic Edge, which is that hypomania is this psychiatric condition which is the functional version of mania. And most of the killer entrepreneurs you've seen are at least somewhat hypomanic. You don't have to be Richard Branson over the top, but you have to be at least a little bit hypomanic. That's number one. Number two, you have to be in a country, in a culture that says this is a good thing. And we are all here in the US, and this is an extraordinary culture. I just got back last week from New Zealand, which has a growing culture supporting this. But I've also been working and lecturing and teaching in the UK, and a wonderful country, but that has no tradition of entrepreneurship. There, if your business fails, you are for the rest of your life, you are wearing a big X on you, and your children are shunned in school. So that kind of culture is required. We have that here. The third thing is you need to have the opportunity. You need to be in whether it's a city or a country or a society that provides you with the ability to find the mentors and the tutors and the people to work in your company, whether it's the incubators or accelerators or things like that. Number 4, really critical, you need role models. If you don't know that this can be done, you're hosed. I grew up with my father is an entrepreneur. My grandfather was an entrepreneur. I grew up in a family of role models, and so to me, this was natural. I've got kids who look at this and say, oh, well, my father's an entrepreneur, so maybe I can be that too. And that's why things like Steve Jobs and people who have a high profile as entrepreneurs serve as role models at one remove or up close and personal. And that's why SCORE is so great, because it lets you talk to an entrepreneur and see that people have done this before. And then finally, the 5th thing is the actual skills, as we've heard about. How do you train people to do businesses? Now, creating a business is not the same thing as entrepreneurship, but there are skills, whether they are finance skills or marketing skills or product development skills, that absolutely can be taught. So therefore, I believe that the role of entrepreneurship education is to help people along this spectrum. If you are somebody who is absolutely the anti-hypomanic, you would never in a zillion years consider being an entrepreneur. Well, if you have programs that work you through, that help you to understand what it's all about, maybe you won't be so scared of taking a job in an entrepreneurial startup company. And if you're the kind of person who is a natural hypomanic and you're ready to go out and do it, well, having the kind of skills and training will let you be an effective entrepreneur and make a real success about it instead of having to reinvent everybody else's failures. So if you look at all of these questions, there are people who are trying to solve various pieces of them. There's only so much you can do about deciding whether somebody is or is not a natural entrepreneur or has the seeds or enough of it within them. But what you can do there is identify. And so we need to work in our school systems and in our support environments to be sure that if somebody has that, we recognize it, and this person is not effectively condemned to a life of non-entrepreneurship, but they are supported and enhanced in what they're doing. As a society, we're already there. America has the world's most extraordinary, entrepreneurially supportive environment, and we have to continue doing that. When it comes to role models, we have to celebrate entrepreneurs. Steve Jobs has done recently a whole heck of a lot for that. So have Mark Zuckerberg, so has Bill Gates. So we need to celebrate entrepreneurship both nationally and locally, and in our own communities, in our own families. This is a viable career path. You may choose to be an entrepreneur, and you can make it work. We need to provide the resources and skills, and then all of the training places and accelerators and support and mentorship programs are doing. Those are really helpful. They help people avoid having to reinvent all the problems all over again. The 5th thing, however, which is providing the community environment to support this, is our big idea and the area in which we're working. I'm the founder and CEO of a company called GUST. And what GUST does is we provide the internet infrastructure that has the grand vision of powering the entire global early-stage entrepreneurial finance ecosystem. What that means is we envisioned a platform that ties together every entrepreneurial startup company and every angel investor and venture capital fund an entrepreneurial support organization on one platform where you can seamlessly discover people, mentor people, and help get companies financed and help them get going. Something along the lines of what Christy was talking about before. We have spent 8 years building that platform, starting from the hardest piece to get, which is investors, angel investors, people who take money out of their own pocket and fund entrepreneurs. So today, GUST has over 125,000 companies, startup companies, who have created websites designed for investor relations and strategic partnerships on our site. We have over 35,000 accredited angel investors who are professionally engaged in financing these startup companies. Over 600 business angel networks, over 150 venture capital funds, university entrepreneurship programs, accelerators, and one of the things that we're doing now is having all these people engaged on the platform is to say, great, they're all there. Now we can go up to 30,000 feet and look down on this ecosystem and create a portal which has all the players already in it. So as opposed to a directory that you have to update by hand or a list that's stagnant, here by everybody creating their own portal, their own website, their own tools to involve with others in the ecosystem, you have your regional ecosystem has the entire view, all the players in one place, and you can identify funding sources, you can identify entrepreneurs and the like. And so we will be announcing in the coming months a couple of the largest cities in the world will be rolling out an entire online ecosystem for their entrepreneurs, and I would love to speak with any regions and cities that want to do this on their own basis, because the likelihood is we are already working with your entrepreneurs and your investors. Thank you.